Yo, what is up, guys? We are here on our Taking a Break podcast, episode 19, and today is very special. I hope you guys are all prepared. We have very, very special guests today. The OK Says podcast sisters, Scout and Maddie, will be joining us today. I'm hyped. You guys are hyped. This is going to be a great episode. How is everybody doing tonight?
Hi, thank you for having us.
We are so excited to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, so you guys are located in California, correct?
Yeah, so I live in San Diego. Mads and I were born and raised in San Diego, and then I moved around a bunch, college, early 20s, whatever, and then I moved back here, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and then Mads lives in LA, but I come up to LA, obviously pre and post quarantine, every other week to record the podcast with Mads.
That's awesome. Fun fact, I've never been to California before. I would love to go sometime, but I've actually never been there before, which is kind of crazy. So
Yeah, I've never been there.
I would start with San Diego, don't you think, Mads, over LA?
I would start with LA. If you're going to come to California, you go to the main hub of California, which is Los Angeles. I am a big Los Angeles advocate, if you can't tell. I went to USC and I stayed there, and my whole network and friends, and I'm like rooted there. Our mom actually also lives there. So everyone shits on LA, and I am here to be the saving grace and be in defense of Los Angeles. So I think you should first come to LA. You got the beaches, you got the cute streets, you got the tourist shit, all the stuff you want to do. You want to hike, you go in LA. And then you could just drive down to San Diego and chill more. But Los Angeles is where it's at.
Yeah, you know.
I'm kind of
You're kind of what?
I'm kind of sold on coming to LA now. That was pretty convincing, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm like the spokeswoman for LA.
Yeah, but if you've never been to California and you come to LA, you need like 2 weeks because it takes an hour and a half to get anywhere in Los Angeles. So you can't you need like a day, 2 days at the beach, and then 2 days in West Hollywood, and then a day in downtown. It's like a whole country. It takes so long to get around, and you need a car. Like, shit's expensive. Just come to San Diego and hang out in La Jolla or something.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like I don't know. That sounds definitely a lot different than Cleveland, but not in a bad way at all. I really want to go to California. One day, me and Nick will make a road trip out there.
Yeah, a little trip. So as we've talked about on our show, Bella and I go to Xavier. So we didn't know each other before college, but we actually started at Xavier, started our show this year. This is obviously, as Bella said, our 19th episode, and super excited to work with you guys. And I think this is something like we're both related in like the healthy episodes, healthy life kicks, taking a break, relaxing, not being super stressed out. I think it was perfect to collab and have a conversation with you guys. I think this is awesome for sure.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Bella.
No, go ahead. You're good.
I was gonna ask, like, so obviously our show is taking a break. Do you guys having like specifics of like what you do when you guys are taking a break? Like, are there things you like to do in California that's like different from others that you feel is like something that you like to do? Anything you guys can tell that you think is good in terms of like just taking a break and relaxing, enjoying your life?
Yeah, I think that I try to have a period of my day, both in the morning and at night, where I am completely kind of unplugged, not looking at my phone. So in the morning, I do my journaling, and I just journal for 2 pages, just myself, and then I go for a 30-minute walk just to kind of clear my head. And then at night, I put my phone away and I read and I meditate. And so that's kind of how I take my break, throughout the day, just to make sure I'm always resetting, or, like watching a movie with my husband. But if I want to be social and take a break and like kick back, I like going to my dad's house and going in the pool and drinking mimosas with him, or going on his boat. I like being with my family. Socially, like I have a lot of really close friends, but when it comes to socially taking a break, I like to be out at the pool with my dad, listening to the Allman Brothers, and maybe some tequila or something. Mads, what do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I love how you preface that question with Southern California, thinking that we would say we go to the beach and lay out all day, but that is literally, Scout and I are not beach people. We are not sand people. We are, as she mentioned, our dad has a boat. He's a big I don't call her a fisherman, but he's like his hobby is to fish, and so he has a boat. So we've grown up on boats our whole life. So we're always like on top of water, but we're never in the water, and we're never like on the sand. So in terms of like taking a break, especially on a daily basis, I think we're huge morning routine people. Huge morning people in general. Since high school, I've woken up very, very early, and I like to, start my day reading and just I meditate a little bit, and then we express gratitude. Both of us are huge gratitude whores. We love to text each other what we're grateful for. It really like roots us and makes us understand the blessings that are apparent in our life and not fall into that like comparison trap that I think a lot of people do these days because of social media. And so that's kind of how I like ease into my day. I am a huge exercise person. So that's, although that might not be taking a break for some people, for me, like that is how my brain takes a break. And then in the nighttime, I'm just like binging any TV show that comes my way. I am on scrolling on the TikTok. I am just like mindless so that my brain can just shut down at the end of the day. And then socially taking a break. I mean, I'm a huge, what we call like weekender traveler. And in LA, it's very easy because we have so many different cool cities that are like an hour or two away from us. We have like Santa Barbara, we have Palm Springs, Ojai. So my boyfriend and I love to do just like either day trips or weekend trips. That is like my favorite way to just get out of the city, get by a pool, hang out, chill, and just like explore a new turf.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. I love that you are big morning people. I try to be a morning person when being at home for like summer and stuff and not having school makes it kind of hard where I'm like, well, I'll wake up around like 10 maybe, but I won't like pull myself out of bed until like 10:30 or 11. So I totally respect like starting your day early. I wish that I was better about that, but I do agree with the exercise. I also do that to kind of like relieve myself of like the 500 things a day that I stress myself out about unnecessarily. So then working out is really good for that. Lately though, it's been so hot outside that kind of have to like take a break from working out outside and just, I don't know, not do it, I guess. But love that. Big fan of having a morning routine.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think something that I love about mornings is there's just a time when no one is awake. And I feel like I have this in common with like night owls, with people who say that they stay up super late because they feel like they're the only ones awake and there's no distractions. And for me, it's kind of the opposite. Like I love waking up early when it's like the whole world is asleep. It's like my time and no one's going to text me. I can't even post or do stuff on Instagram because it's like, no one's going to see it. So it's such a great time to just get those juices flowing and like a little bit of productivity in terms of reading and in terms of kind of setting intention for your day. And then you go into it. There's so much distraction throughout the day. So it's nice to just like start off with like a clean slate, you know?
Yeah, even if I'm like out of town or something, because my husband wakes up way later than me, so I always have the mornings to myself. Even if I'm on vacation or out of town or whatever, I need at least 30 minutes to myself first thing in the morning just to be with me. I don't know what it is. It just really helps me set the day and it grounds me tremendously. So I mean, I hear about couples that they like wake up at the same time and I'm like, that sounds nice. But at the same time, like I love having my own time in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really interesting to say that I am not a morning person for sure. I mean, I say I am. I say, all right, we're gonna get up. Got the alarm going. I got like Guns N' Roses gonna to wake me up in the morning, like before I start my day. But then like I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it, and I just roll around and go back to sleep. I totally agree with all of you that morning is the best time to relax, take that break, take that time to just enjoy your life and just sitting outside, have a cup of coffee, enjoying the birds or doing whatever you like. I think that's super important. And I wish I did it more. And hopefully when I get older and when I get married, I hope that one day I do wake up earlier and become that. And I think college has definitely changed my sleeping habits as well, for sure. Did you guys go to college or did you just start your podcast like big? Okay.
I have a very interesting college experience.
Okay.
I did not get into any of the UCs when I was applying to college, and this was in 2009. and which makes me sound old. And I went to Berkeley City College because I wanted to transfer to UC Berkeley, and it was super isolating, and there was no community, and it was really hard to make friends. So I transferred to Sarah Lawrence College, and then which is a liberal arts college in New York, which is my favorite place in the world. It's amazing. And then I was unfortunately diagnosed with bipolar disorder, so I had to come home. And then school was put on pause for a while as I was healing myself. And then I went back to community college to get my prerequisites so I could transfer to a UC, transferred to UCSD. Yes, we are in college number 4. And then I dropped out because I got a career opportunity. So 4 colleges, no degree, doing great.
What's your career? What do you do?
I run Scouts Agency, which is a PR agency for women. But at the time, I was brought on to be a director of operations for a rebrand of a magazine I was building.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's really cool, actually. I'm actually a PR major, so that's cool that that's kind of your career now.
Yeah, no, it's fun. We can chat all about it.
Perfect. I love that.
And then I had a more traditional college experience with Scout. I went to NYU my freshman year, and I actually did not enjoy myself. And I think it was because, one, I'm from Southern California. It was a very, very big shock, especially the first time you're living alone. You're 18 years old, and then to be thrown into the city, it's a really big culture shock. And there is no campus there, which I was aware of, and I thought I wanted, just because I'm not really like a college, like rah, like football type of person. But
until you were.
Okay, that is my time.
Sorry.
And so yeah, it was a culmination of things, and I realized, like, holy shit, I love Southern California. Why would I ever leave? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, the weather's amazing. So I transferred to USC, University of Southern California, which is like the most rah school spirit school there is. But what I realized was, and I wasn't really active in that type of stuff, but what I realized is there is a reason that type of community exists, and it is really, really important, especially when you're 18. Like, that is so young to be off on your own and trying to manage your time and manage your life and extracurriculars in school, and like to have just this like insular community and people that are just so wanting to lift you up. I can see why that is a big requisite for people when they're applying to college. So I'm really happy I had that experience, and USC was incredible. It was exactly what I needed at that time when I was transferring, and I met my best friends there. And then it brought me to LA, which, again, LA advocate over here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know you talked, Maddie, about that idea of, you weren't super at the beginning, 18 years old, going to NYU, you weren't like super into it, and you were just like trying to get the flow of everything going on. Do you have any tips that you thought, I know like it was tough for you at the beginning, but to kind of like how to like relax your thoughts and just like, because that's what our show is really about. And we do focus a lot on college. Bella and I are both 20 years old, and we do focus primarily on younger people. And since you guys are older and going through that, do you have any tips, or you can hop in there as well of what you can talk about that? So
Yeah. So think, especially during that time, I had to be really courageous and had to really self-reflect on what I wanted. And looking back, I knew that, but at the time I was just like, I was very in tune. I was like, oh, this is not working. Like there was just a blatant discomfort, and I worked out a lot. Again, like working out to me has always been a release and a way to relieve anxiety. But I mean, I put myself out there so much. I'm a very extroverted and social person, and outgoing. So it was very strange that I wasn't clicking with the student body at NYU. And when you first go to college, you just have to be okay with coming out of your shell. And what I've said, actually, we were on another podcast, we were talking about college, is when you first enter college, like everyone is new. So it's really not weird to just introduce yourself when you're in the elevator or introduce yourself when you're sitting next to someone in class. Like, do not be afraid and think like, oh my God, person's going to think I'm weird for introducing myself. Like that, every single person there needs a friend and wants more people to know. So that was something I implemented. Something I would sign up for anything and everything. I also would find pockets of community that I knew I would resonate with. So for instance, we're Jewish. So I went straight to the Jewish organization Hillel at NYU, connected with some people there, and finally found some sort of footing. And back to the kind of like in tuneness, like I felt something off balance within myself, and I took it upon myself to transfer. It's a really fucking hard process. People don't talk about this. Like it is really intense. It's literally like applying to college all over again. It's very frustrating, and you have to write the essays again. You have to do all of this over your first winter break that you have after college. So it's not like this like easy thing. And so, and I remember when I was going through it, a lot of my high school friends were like, wow, I can't believe you had the courage to even do that. Or like some people would just be miserable and stay because they didn't want to do the work to transfer. So it's just, I think, a culmination of trying to find some sort of home base, but if it's not working for you, being truthful and making a change. You have control to make that change.
That's really interesting that you talk about transferring, because after my freshman year, I was also in the same position of transferring. Mine was mostly for financial reasons, but I was still in the same boat of kind of in that mindset of like tearing myself away from one place to go to a new college. But like you said, the whole community aspect and like really finding your people is just so important. And that's not only the financial aid ladies sent from God that helped me out, but also just like the community at school really kept me there, because there was a decent amount of people in me in next grade, I feel like, who ended up transferring for one reason or another. But it's a really tough process. So I definitely agree about you need a community in a sense of like friendships, because you are so far from home sometimes, and it's so new. When you first get to college, it's really tough and challenging, because you're like, oh my God, like I'm really on my own now. Like I'm just not coming back to my house after 7 classes that my high school counselor told me to take. Like it's a lot different.
Yeah, Mads, it's so weird that we both transferred, that was both of our experience, because we don't really know anybody else that really went through the transfer experience so much. And it was confusing for me when I transferred to Sarah Lawrence, because I didn't know. So I transferred as a sophomore, so I didn't know if I should be friends with the sophomores or the freshmen, because like the sophomores already had their friend group, so I became friends with the freshmen, which was like an interesting situation. But yeah, transferring it's a little strange, because you're not a freshman, so you're not like coming in with a class that's all completely new, but you're also, but yeah, you're also new, but you've also been away from your home for a year, so you have that experience under your belt. It's an interesting, past, I think the first semester it gets better, but I remember having like a little bit of like an identity of which pocket of people do I fit in here? Is it the freshmen, the sophomore, the juniors? Like, where do I go from here?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, for sure. And I lost my best friend from transferring out of Xavier, and he went up to Chicago because I think he had a girlfriend up there and back in Chicago, and he was just, wanted to be much closer to his family as well. And I think that's another reason for sure. I mean, family, we talked about that earlier. Being away from that's definitely difficult. For me, I was like, I want to do my own thing and be out of here. But I'm also, like Maddie said, I'm very social as well. And I'm an extrovert, so I'm definitely more of like that person who likes to get out there and do those kinds of things. But yeah, I totally agree with you guys. And I think that's super beneficial for sure. Yeah.
On the topic of college and everything, I wanted to ask you guys, like, when you were in college, did you, I mean, I feel like no one really knows what they want to do in college, but like, did your majors kind of lead to your career path? Because I feel like that's something a lot of us stress about. I know like what my majors are, but I don't really know exactly how to get into what I want to do, maybe even what that is. So do you guys want to talk a little bit about careers and college and that whole shebang?
Yes, I have a lot of thoughts. I still don't know what I want to do. Just so
That
we're
is
clear.
so reassuring.
Like, I'm
So
20, I'm almost 26, and I struggled a lot with this because I actually grew up doing theater my whole life, and I thought that was what I was going to go to school for. And then I also was really, I really loved school, and I loved learning, and I loved subjects. So I decided that although there are really great schools that do a hybrid of like theater and then also making sure that you are, um, in like an academic setting and more scholastic, I just completely abandoned theater. So I just went straight to NYU solely for academic purposes. I didn't have a major. I think I was undecided. And I went in and I was like, I guess I'll just do something practical because it feels like that's the most applicable to something. I would recommend, again, it doesn't really matter truly, only because from what I know, like a lot of what you learn in college is not it. I need to be careful with my words. It's just
No,
like
say
you,
it. It teaches you nothing about the
it
workforce.
teaches you
And how
nothing.
to
It teaches you nothing.
nothing.
Literally, like you could go into a job, and I have been next to people who have MBAs, and I know more. I'm Googling things. I'm just figuring it the fuck out. That is the secret. Everyone is just figuring it out. No one knows what they're doing, and you just day to day. If you don't know what to do something, Google it. You figure it out. You do this. You ask someone. You do that. Like it's just a title at the end of the day. That being said, it is a very helpful title for career and for networking, and then for jobs. If you're applying for jobs, they will only like accept resumes that have a specific major. So in those regards, like it is important, but in terms of the actual knowledge, it's not that important. So unless you want to like be a doctor or a lawyer,
Yeah.
of course.
I was about to say,
So,
I hope doctors aren't studying communication.
yeah. So doctors, that's obviously different. So for me, I've always loved numbers, and I loved, I loved learning. So I just did I did the business school at USC, just like the business administration major, which I realized later was like no one cares about an undergrad business degree anyways, but it's like somewhat applicable to any job really. So that was kind of nice, and I was able to kind of get in through doors that way. But something I struggled with a lot was all of my peers were kind of doing the whole consulting route and the IB route, and finance, and I was like not into that. Like that was not my jam, and I thought I was doing something wrong. And I remember calling Scout. Do you remember this? It was like senior year of college, and I was like, am I supposed to be doing finance? Like, am I supposed to be working at an accounting firm? Like, I don't. And she's like, no, you don't want to do that. I was like, oh, right. Like, it's just, you need to really be okay with what you want. And I don't know. It's a really strange thing, especially in college, because it's kind of competitive, and I felt that a lot. Where it was like people knew exactly what they wanted to do, and they were gonna get the best. And I was like, "Fuck, I don't even know what I don't. I like kind of know that I like tech, but I don't know like but I like creativity. How do I meld the two in my marketing and my business dev? Like I have no idea. So really, what it is like choose a major. If you don't know, choose something that it's a little overarching, that you can learn some practical skills, and that can get you in the door for some variety of jobs. And then you just try things out. That's what it is. When you're young, try every fucking thing. Go do any
Totally
type of
agree.
job.
Totally agree.
I have such a different, I mean, obviously Mads and I, we like very differ when it comes to the philosophy around college. My major was English literature, and I studied like 17th century English literature, which literally there is no job in the world that wants that at all. And I went into college not thinking about the job I wanted, but I thought about what do I want to learn, because I kind of had this foresight of like, I'm not going to really learn anything here that's really going to be applicable to my job anyways, because I'm not going to be a lawyer. I'm not going to be an accountant. I'm not going to be a doctor. So I might as well learn something that actually fuels my passion and my creativity. And so I just studied like poetry and English, British literature. And then I didn't even graduate. And when I was applying to jobs, there was a point where I was applying to jobs. I was like, oh shit, like I didn't graduate. Nobody asked me, didn't put it on my resume. Literally nobody asked me if I graduated college. And so I'm a little bit more on the entrepreneurial side where I've started many different ventures. This is like my third venture. I never worked in a PR agency. I've never interned for a PR agency. I never took a PR class, and I run a PR agency. So as Mad says, like my thing is figure it out. Like when I have kids, I'm going to have a college fund for them, and they can either go to college with it or they can start their own business or, you know, live with it to intern. I just believe that for some people, college isn't the answer. It wasn't for me, and I haven't needed it in my life. And I'm just really grateful that I took that time to learn something that I was really passionate about that didn't have this overarching thing of like, what are you going to do to make money in 2 years? So in that sense, I really enjoyed my college time, as sporadic as it was, because I was delving into topics that I was really passionate about.
Wow, that's really interesting, especially when you're talking about what you do now and like what kind of is like your career now, and you didn't even do any of that in college. That's really impressive. And I don't know, it gives me a peace of mind, I guess, like even though I don't know what's going on half the time and like still don't know what I want to do, like that is some very reassuring news to hear.
Yeah, you'll go through so many phases. Like you'll go through so many phases. I had a magazine, and then I had a digital media site, and then I did a blog, and then I did my podcast, and then I switched to OK Sis podcast, and then I launched Scott's agency. And it's like one thing will lead to the next. And as long as you're growing from each opportunity and learning from each opportunity and using it to better the next one, and you also don't have to do one thing your whole life either. Like you don't have to be one thing your entire life. I'll guarantee you by the time I'm 40, I'm going to have a different job for sure. But that's just me. But you don't have to be one thing your whole life.
Okay. That's really good advice, honestly. That's like good to hear, because I feel like when we're in school, and even just like the pressure I feel like a lot of us faced coming from high school into college, where your counselors and like parents are like, okay, like you need to think about what your major is, what you want to do. Like your college should be like, you should have a good program for that major. I feel like there's so many like strict like guidelines of you should do this, but like I love how when you guys talk about it, it's so much more like free flowing, go with the flow, and like just like life will just work itself out, and no need to worry so much about revolving around college.
And it took a long time to get to that point of understanding too. Just so you're aware, it is something that you're going to have to learn individually too. Like even us just saying it, like, yes, it could take a little bit of the pressure off because you know that you're not alone, but you're going to still, you know, want to go this path. And you know, you just realize it in your life that there's just different milestones and there's different steps.
And if you want to be successful, you'll be successful. You'll figure it out. You'll figure out how to be successful and whatever.
You'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out.
Oh yeah. And last thing to add on this, I changed my majors 4 times, and I'm only a sophomore. I'm just going to go into my junior year, 4 times. And yeah, we talked about it. I think major is important for some, but for others, I'm a communication studies major. I'm looking to go into broadcasting hopefully in the future, but I think communication studies is a major that you can use for anything. There's a lot of things you can use that kind of major. And as all of you guys pointed out, I think it is good to have that kind of major for some occupations, but at the same time, it can be general. And I think that's good to have a general and doing what you love and doing what's special in your life for sure. So, yeah.
Nick, if I owned a broadcasting studio and you applied to my company and I saw that you had been doing a podcast for 3 years because this is the field that you kind of, you know, it's like production, it's mic stuff, I would be so much more impressed with that than someone who has a broadcasting major, because that shows that you got in, you did it, you figured it out, you're getting real life experience. Like that to me says so much more than somebody who got all A's in college. But then again, like there's different people. Some people want that 4.0 and want that exact major. But I think that what you're doing with this podcast is so much more beneficial than your major will be. It'll be more impressive.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. I started off as a psychology major and now I'm going into broadcasting. Xavier doesn't have a broadcasting like degree. It's just communications, but I totally agree with that. I had no interest in that whatsoever when I went into college, and I went to Xavier because of basketball school, small school, and all of the great people that I saw literally walking around campus. Those are the three big reasons. And I'm an orientation leader. That's what I'm going to be telling most of my orientation freshmen, that incredible people. We have an incredible basketball team, and I have met on my fingers the amount of mean people. I've met one mean person really in terms of, because everywhere I walk around, I love everyone, and it's awesome. And I totally agree with you. That's awesome. They said, thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna bring this up. When did you guys kind of start your podcast and really get inspired for what you guys wanted to do in terms of Okay Sis?
So I had my own podcast, and it was feeling a little stale. I wasn't really being super inspired by it. This was, I don't know, 3 years ago now, and 2.5 years ago. And Mads and I went to the Ojai Valley in Spa for her birthday, and we got massages. I know you guys are 20, but we were drinking rosé by the pool and kind of had a little buzz on. And I said, hey, we don't have a podcast. I don't have a podcast episode. Like, do you want to hop on the mic? And my podcast was a lot more serious, a lot dealing with more mental health and spirituality stuff. And then Mads and I just went into the business center of the hotel and recorded on my phone. We ate truffle chips the whole time, and we talked about pop culture and The Bachelor, and we had a blast. And I couldn't get it out of my head of how the energy flowed between the two of us. And so I texted her like 2 weeks later, and I said, we have to do something together. And so we decided to start Okay Sis, and we launched within 2 weeks of deciding. And since then, we have cultivated the most incredible community of women. We've interviewed people like Lauren Elizabeth, Amanda Stanton, Lauren Everts Bostic, who else? Kenzie Elizabeth, Sivan Ayla. There's so many incredible women. We had a live event in Hollywood, our first live event with Cassie and Michelle Randolph. So it's been a wild ride.
When did you guys start?
Yeah.
Like, did you guys start? Like, was it like a year ago, 2 years ago?
It's coming up on 2 years now. And I think, you know, we say this, we've said this before, but like podcasts and the evolution of one's podcast is just that. It's an evolution, right? So, you know, we listen back to our first episode and we're like cringe, but that's also good because you know that you have grown and you have cemented and you're learning and things like that. So something that has been really special with Scout and I over the past 2 years is we've really gotten down this banter between us. We are sisters IRL, which is like we like to say, and that I think comes across in the conversation, especially with our guests. They feel very at home with us, and it's not like a PR stunt. It's not like a, you know, publicity thing that they're trying to promote some product. It's more so about a discussion about entrepreneurship, about mental health, about being a woman in business. And, you know, we are just we're really multifaceted. And I mean, I'm just interested in so many things. I mean, as we had just talked about going into college, like literally not knowing, still not knowing, interested in so many things, could do so many things. So I wanted the podcast to reflect that. And I didn't think that we needed to be so one dimensional, right? So that's why there is this tone of silliness, but there's also this more sophistication and substance to the podcast, which I'm really proud of, that we give people actual tangible steps and lessons to learn from these women entrepreneurs, but then we also incorporate this like silliness. And we have a segment called Current Fixations where we just talk about something we're like so obsessed with that moment. And it could be anything ranging from The Bachelor to a new skincare product to a meditation app that we've been recently loving. So I think just it's been really special to cultivate that tone of voice. And people, when they start a podcast, they want to be everything and perfect and polished and have like 500 podcast episodes in the bank so that they're prepared. But we kind of advise against that. It's just, you know, you have to dive in and just learn as you go. I think that's the best way to grow something really special.
But the thing that Maddie learned the most in the past 2 years is that she loves me so incredibly much. She thinks I'm the most beautiful woman on the planet. And her love, she just professes her love for me endlessly in such an emotionally raw way, constantly.
Do you guys sense the sarcasm in her voice?
Yes, I think
No,
that's
it's true. She's right. I think our relationship, I mean, that has been obviously probably the best thing that's come out of this. Like, yes, we have a great, amazing community of sisters that listen to us and tune in every week, and incredible guests who have been gracious with their time. But the best thing has been cultivating Scout and Mai's relationship and really deepening that. And that's where the sister aspect plays in. And I think it enhances the podcast because it, as I mentioned, it allows the guests to feel really at home with us.
I would 100% agree on that. As someone who listens to your guys' podcast, I love that, like, kind of how you said the banter. Like, I totally understand where you're coming from just from, like, listening. And I would say that the community that you can create with a podcast is really amazing and kind of special too, because of you guys and like Lauren Elizabeth and Kenzie Elizabeth and like Claudia Slewski, and then I heard Cassie and Michelle Randolph because they've been guests on your podcast and Lauren's podcast. I think that community is just so special, and it's so, I don't know, it's just really crazy that you guys were able to like dive in, not really know what you're doing, figure it out as you go, but yet be able to create this community where you're right, like there's definitely so many good takeaways, especially with the guests, the women in business and mental health, which is super important to talk about. But then also kind of what you were saying about like the current fixations, that is one of the things that when me and Nick were talking about our podcast, I was like, okay, here's an idea where we talk about something that we like are obsessed with or using this week. That's kind of where our health kick that me and Nick do every week came from, because I'm like, okay, this is just such a fun thing. I know you guys have current fixations or like current obsessions or whatever it is. I don't know, I just love that, the community and the fun aspect, and usually like towards the beginning, and then banter. I don't know, I just think it's really cool how the community can just kind of come together like that based on a bunch of random topics.
Yeah, it's really wild because it's such a different platform than other social media platforms. I mean, I'm not even sure it is a social media platform. I'm not sure, but on Instagram, it's definitely super filtered and curated, which is, there's such a place and time for that. And I love playing around on Instagram. But when you get on a podcast, I mean, there are hours and hours and hours and hours of Mads and me just talking to one another. Like, that is so, and we don't really edit. We don't really cut things out. We don't necessarily sometimes even know what we're going to talk about. Sometimes it's just like catching up and topics arise. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's like this aspect. And I think that why people connect to OK Sis is because when Mads and I are on the mic together, we don't think that people are listening to us. Like, we don't consciously like think that there are thousands of people that are going to tune in. Mads and I are just like, oh, it's just me and my sister hanging out, and there happens to be a mic in front of us. So you let people into super vulnerable and intimate parts of your life, and that can be scary because you're like, oh my God, how much, I just hired someone from Scout's agency who listens to OK Sis, and she'll like say something about my life, and I'm like, how do you know that? And she's like, I listen to OK Sis. I was like, oh my God, like, what do you know about me? So it's a little crazy, but it's a really, if you're willing to be that open and honest, it's a really great window into somebody's life.
So I was in the theater as well in high school and in middle school, just like you said, Maddie. And when you said that about like, we're talking, just having a conversation with a mic in front of us, it makes me think about theater and how when you're on stage, I literally think about everyone like looking like a popsicle stick outside, and you don't think they're actual people, and you're just performing and being yourself. Like, they're not actually people out there on the stage, in the crowd. It's literally just like a popsicle stick, or like animals, like people that aren't real. And when you think about that, and you don't think of them as a real person, I'm a better actor. And also, just talking to you guys right now, I don't think about that community. It's better for me to speak and feel how and what I like to talk about. I think it's super important how you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. It allows you to have a way more authentic conversation and not feel as polished or manicured. I don't know. Something about the podcast.
It makes you more nervous when you think as a real person. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's just, I think that's why a lot of people connect with podcasts and a lot of people feel like podcast hosts are their best friends because they're like talking to them and they're in my ear. Like I think of certain podcast hosts and I'm like, oh, like you're my best friend. And like, they don't even know who I am. It's just, it is a strange relationship. And I remember listening to this podcast. It was Recode, Decode, and Kara Swisher's the host of it, and she said someone came up to her and just like hugged her, and she was like, yo, I'm not like a hugger. Like, but this girl just felt that she was her friend. Like, it's not even about personal boundaries. It's not like a celebrity. It's different. It's like she literally felt like she could have access to this person because she's in her ear every day for hours. Like, how crazy is that? Like, that's a different connection than celebrity and people that we just like have no that aren't attainable. Podcast hosts are regular people, or at least they used to be. Now it's like a lot of celebrities, but it's just like, that is what's so cool about it, is you could be a regular person and really connect with a mass audience.
I've never even thought about that. Now that you say, like, you feel like you know them just by listening to them every week, I totally understand that. Like, there's a few podcasts that I listen to, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. She's putting something new this week. Like, it's like listening, or it's like catching up with, like, one of your friends when you haven't, like, listened to them in a while. It's so crazy that you just said that, because I've never even really thought about it like that before.
Yeah, and podcasts are something you can listen to everywhere. It's something you can do when you're in the car, when you're cooking, when you're sitting in your bed rather than going on your Snapchat, listening to a podcast or something like that. It's something that anyone can listen to. And I think part of the reason why Bella and I wanted to focus on like Xavier and focusing on college students and stuff like that, is that college students have such a busy life. They don't have that time to sit and enjoy just their body and just relaxing and their thoughts and stuff like that. They don't have that time to think about that. And I think part of the reason why we started this was because we want others to feel that break. We want others to not be as stressed out as they should be and get that time to relax and enjoy themselves, for sure.
Amen.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. And I don't know, it's definitely interesting how me and you started our podcast, Nick. I feel like I wanted to like jump in on this because I had listened to some podcasts like you guys and Mood, and We Bought a House with Claudia Saluski. I've been listening to those, and I was like, you know, this just sounds like just like a fun thing to be able to like do and reach people. And I love the idea of like working with social media, working with people, creating stuff like that. And Nick is into like broadcasting, and he did stuff with film and knows how to work mics and everything. So like we came from like, we don't have the same like career like ideas or like even like goals or however we pictured starting this, but now we're like both here and it's been working really well. So I think it's just cool. It can spring up out of nowhere and random topics. I don't know. It's definitely something I would not have pictured myself doing like 2 years ago, but here we are.
I love podcasting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone thought they were going to be doing this 2 years ago.
I was doing this 2 years ago. We were doing this 2 years ago.
Oh, right.
I was doing this 3 years ago.
Yeah. No, but I like what you said. It is very true. There are such a wide variety of podcasts, and it's kind of like you can find anything for you. It's kind of like, remember that saying, you guys might be too young for this, but there's a saying like, there's an app for that. So it's like there's a podcast for that. Like literally there is a podcast for anything you would like to learn or be a part of.
What'd you say, Bella?
There's a Trader Joe's podcast. I love Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
I found it out and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
I didn't know that.
There is a Trader Joe's podcast to talk about. I listened to a couple episodes. They talk about like what's hot for that week or something. And I'm just like, I need this in my life now because I just love
So
Trader
good.
Joe's.
That's good.
Yeah. So I say let's go into it. Let's go into our health kicks and current fixations. Let's do it. You guys have any current fixations that you guys have been I could say crazing as well this week?
Yeah. So which I haven't mentioned on our podcast yet, but I am getting really into the chakras right now. I'm reading a book about them. It's a really elementary introductory book that just explains them. And I really loved it because it's placed like a physical symbol to an emotional abstract feeling. And you can kind of identify it somewhere in the body. And then like each one has their demon, and it just helps you understand your emotional health a lot more and able to kind of pinpoint areas in your body that you need to release energy, or it helps you kind of visualize your emotions a little bit more. It like puts a name to something super abstract, essentially. And in the philosophy of the chakras, there's a lot of amazing healing modalities and healing philosophies just within them. So that's something that I'm working on my root chakra this week. So that's been something I've been like obsessed with. Like I can't go to bed because I keep reading the chakra book, and Maddie is going to eye roll me, but I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Yeah, I was, I went on mute.
Sorry that
So
I'm
that
just
I
an
wouldn't.
elevated person with my emotional spiritual journey.
Okay. So I'll combine, and I think Scouts also combines a health kick and current fixation, but I've been obsessed with this new blend thing that I found on Instagram. I get targeted ads so specific and so great. Like I welcome any and all Instagram targeted ads because they know me so well, and I'm fine with that because I get introduced to the greatest brands. So this brand called Clever, Clevr blends. It is a powder, and I have the matcha and the coffee, and it has adaptogens in it and oat milk. So if for those who don't know, adaptogens are these kind of I guess herbs that help you with immunity and with specific stress relievers and things like that. So like we're huge ashwagandha people. That helps a lot with calming the brain, and I recommend everyone to take it in the morning. It's like
What is
That's a
it?
good
What
quality.
what is it called?
ashwagandha.
Uganda.
I
Wow.
don't ask me how to spell it.
So you can get it. This is actually a really good hack for college students if they have anxiety. You can get it in a powder, which is how I was using it first. But the thing with the powder is that it makes your coffee taste super chalky. So I got it in an elixir, and I just put it under my tongue, and it tastes disgusting for a minute. And then you swallow it and like chug something else afterwards because it's so gross. But it's just, instead of like ruining your whole coffee with chalky powder, you know what I mean? It's just a nice little boost in the morning.
Say it one more time. What is it called?
Ashwagandha.
All right. There we go. For all your listeners out there, check it out.
You if you spell it like you'll find it. You'll just spell it out and you'll find it.
Yeah.
We have no idea. So anyways, that ashwagandha is in this elixir, this blend that I have. And the best part of it is it has oat milk already in it. So I have an electric frother, and all you do is put the powder, put some hot water, and then you do the electric frother, and then you add some more hot water, and it's a latte. It's just an instant latte, and it is creamy. It is delicious. It tastes like just like heaven. It is so good, and it helps obviously with your health and tastes like a dessert, but it's not unhealthy. It's great. It's my current fixation, and I encourage everyone to definitely go ashwagandha. That is for sure.
Yeah, for sure, ashwagandha.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Bella, go for it. What's your health kick / current fixation?
So, okay, I guess my health kick and my current fixation are two different things. My health kick right now has been working outside and getting some sun, because any tan that I had in Florida over spring break has just been gone for weeks. So being outside and working out and sweating like just so profusely. I come in my house, I'm dripping, my dog's trying to lick me, like it's a whole thing. But I've been getting some color outside, which I'm really happy about, because I work in a grocery store, so I'm just inside all day, not seeing the light when it's even good to tan. So that's been my health kick recently. My running mileage will probably take a little downward slope, because when it's 80 degrees outside, I'm just like, all right, I
Too hot.
can't push from my best mileage right now. But my current fixation is actually just popped up today, because today I bought a car, like my first car. So that is my current fixation.
Mazel.
Thank you very much. My first big girl
All right.
purchase for me.
Damn, girl.
Oh yeah. We just put it on our Instagram
Yeah.
too, so you guys can check it out there.
That is awesome. I want to go look right now.
Me sitting on my car for 5 seconds. It was so hot. My thighs were gonna burn off, but I'm like, for the Insta.
Yeah.
Suffer for a second. But yeah, that's mine. Nick, how about you?
Yeah, so we had our meeting on Monday, and I actually just came back I have a lake house, and you guys probably have no idea coming from California. It's called Lake Wallenpaupack. Have you ever heard of that? It's in Pennsylvania. No. It's it's a bigger lake, but my current fixation, and I have to say I can put a health kick in this as well, is that I've been super into. My dad's been trying to get me into more boating. We've had a boat for a pretty long time, but my dad's mostly been the one who's been, driving the boat, and we go tubing, we go wakeboarding, we go water skiing, all the fun lake things to do. And my fixation is definitely to learn more boating, and also hopefully Bella comes from Cleveland and we get all my friends out and we can get some good fun boating out, and I can just take everyone out and do that. And I think that's definitely a current fixation.
Love that.
Yeah, and also the health kick comes into it because water skiing is a great health kick and it's a fun thing to do, and it's exercise. Wakeboarding is another fun thing to do, and I love it. And fixation fishing as well. Like you guys said, your dad was a big fisherman, so gotta love that. And those are easy, fun things that I love to do. So yeah, it's awesome. Yeah,
Love it. Yeah, we love being on the water.
I know. I fantasize the lake life. I feel like I would thrive in lake life, but we're ocean people, or bay people. No, I went to Lake Tahoe and I was like, I could fuck with a lake. Like a lake is cool.
Lakes are awesome, man. And it's like, yeah, there's no sand, there's not really that much tanning, but you can still, like, there's all the people right around you. You can get your own like, I don't know if everyone has their own boat, obviously, but we have a boat, so we could go out on that. My cousins have jet skis, so that's another fun thing you can do. And yeah, it's awesome. I think lakes by far my favorite thing to do. I'm also a big skier, but lakes another big thing. Love to do it. I prefer that the most, for sure. Yeah. So
I'm working with Lake Erie over here right now, which, like, you gotta take what you can get. It's not the cleanest. Sometimes we get some dead fish up on the sand, but I also appreciate a nice lake. I had visited my boyfriend in Wisconsin one time, and he lives on this, like, small lake, and the whole time I'm like, your water is so clear. Like, this is just so much clearer than Lake Erie's water. But yeah, I like the lake. I think the ocean is a lot cooler. Personally, I've only been to the ocean a few times when I went to Florida, but yeah, I can appreciate that.
for sure.
I wanted to ask really quick about quarantine, the inevitable elephant in the room everyone's dealing with right now. I know in Ohio, a lot of things have been opening, and it seems like people are kind of, like, easing back into routines and life a little bit before. And I think Nick's in New Jersey, it's been opening up too a little bit, but have things been pretty much the same recently in California, or are things kind of slowly starting to open up too?
Things are starting to open up in San Diego a little bit. There's more people on the streets. We saw people in restaurants the other day. Yeah, people are starting to go back to work if it's a small office. My office is starting to go back, my team, just like once or twice a week because there's only 3 of us. So we, like, practice social distancing in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the collective energy here is that people are over it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'm over it. Like, I'm still practicing really well, but yeah, things are opening up. And Maddie?
You kind of broke up there at the end. Did anyone else get a break up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, Scout broke up a little bit.
Oh, I just said that things are opening up in San Diego. They're trying to figure out how to do dining in a healthy way. But it's a little weird because I know LA is very different. It's very closed.
Yeah, LA has been, like, lockdown, intense. You don't see anyone outside without a mask. It's very, very intense, which is why I recently just came to San Diego to quarantine with my dad, and just because I needed some fresh air. I was in a little apartment for 2 months, and didn't realize like how much I needed more space until I left. So it's been nice to come here because it's like weird because people are kind of more relaxed and chill about it here, and not rightfully so, but there are much less cases here, so that's feels safer in that way because LA has been hit hard. So
Yeah, New York City is like this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's interesting to see that it seems like different parts of the country are kind of on different pages right now. I wonder if anything will change dramatically by the end of the summer, if maybe everyone will be on the same page with that. Because one of my professors at school actually said that like some California universities already declare that they're going to be online in the fall. They're not even going to go back to in person. So I just wonder how much will change by the end of the summer at this point, really.
Yeah, for sure.
No way to know.
No, yeah, the future, no one really knows what's going to hold, but we'll hope it's all positive. Let's hope we can all be with our friends again and do all that. So
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So taking a break. Okay, Sis podcast, episode number 19 for us. Sorry. Any last words, you guys? Okay, Sis, before we end the chat.
We love you.
Well, also you can listen to us. Can we do a humble brag? No, not humble brag.
No, yeah. Tell us.
You can do some self promo.
Yeah, self promo. That was what I was thinking of. Humble brag. So you can listen to our podcast at Okay Sis Podcast. It's OKAYSIS on anywhere you get podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram. It's popping over there. Okay Sis Podcast. Also, a huge ask because we're talking to the Gen Z market. We are on TikTok, ladies and gentlemen, and we are churning out premium content and no one is watching it. So please, if you do anything, please listen to the podcast, but if you do anything else, go to our TikTok because I guarantee you will smile. And just like, it's a good time and we need to be viral.
I'm the most embarrassing 28-year-old on TikTok possible. But yes, amen what Mads just said. Thank you guys so much for having us.
Thank you.
Of course. Yeah. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And Bella, say what you always say at the end.
I also want to say thank you to OK Sis for agreeing to come on and collabing with us. It was really weird when we first met on Monday, and I was like, oh my gosh, not that I thought your voices were changed, but I was like, I'm like listening. I always like listen to them without seeing their face. Now like I'm hearing them talk. I'm like, wow, this is really weird. But thank you for coming on. Everybody should definitely check out OK Sis Podcast. Follow them on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. And we will talk to you guys next week.
See you guys later. Woo!
Bye.